Hi everyone, welcome back to Cat's Book Nook. Today is Sunday, June 25th, and I'm going to be going over my summer to be read list. There are a lot of books on this list, so let's get started. So first up, the obvious summer reads challenge from me is getting through the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I am a Harry Potter person. I am actually a Slytherin. That's my Hogwarts house. I am part of the Hogwarts Running Club, which I mentioned in my first video, which is a Harry Potter based running club where we're sorted into houses, we do challenges, we do a house cup, and it is just a phenomenal community. I'm rereading these because I haven't reread these in a very long time, and there's actually the Hogwarts Running Club book fest that they are rereading the entire Harry Potter series over the summer, so I'm on board with that. And as you can see, I'm partway through book 2 right now. Next up, after I get through the Harry Potter series, is Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. It is by Jamie Ford, who is a Goodreads author. I actually found this book in Portland when I was up there a couple years ago. And it's the story that follows Henry Lee and Seattle's Japantown and what happened with the, we're not supposed to call them concentration camps, but let's be real, that's what they were, of the World War II. Henry is a Chinese American and he falls in love with Kiko Akobo. Kobe? I think I'm saying that right. In the 1940s, after they go to the same school together, and she is Japanese, so her family gets taken to internment camps, and it's just a really, Henry doesn't remember Kyoko until, well, he remembers her, but the story doesn't start until the city is trying to get rid of or renovate the Panama Hotel in Seattle, and they find all of this luggage that belonged to Japanese families who ended up in the internment camps who never came to collect their belongings. Not entirely sure why, but it follows the story of a little boy and a little girl who find a way around their situations. Really good book, really interesting summer read. It's very short, but I really liked it, so I'm going to reread it. Next up is a book that I've tried to get through. I actually picked this book up in Seattle too. It's Stormfront by Jim Butcher. It's the first in the Harry Dresden Files series. I found Jim in an anthology that he did with Patricia Briggs, where she put forth her first Alpha and Omega short story. I really liked the short story, and I really liked Jim's story in that anthology. So I figured starting his first book with Harry Dresden might not be a bad place to start, because it is an entire series, an entire world. So this might not be a summer beach read, but it is definitely a book that I like to get through this summer. Next up is Mitch Albom's The Timekeeper. As you can see, there's a train ticket stub still in there. It's actually a train ticket, which never got used. But The Timekeeper is a book that I try to pick up at least once a year, especially when I'm not having the best of moments, because it makes you realize that time is not a given, and that even though you may be going through something difficult or any type of situation, there's always someone out there that's going through the exact opposite of what you're going through and wishing for the exact opposite of what you are. It follows 3 people. Basically, the first person it follows is the guy that started to keep track of time. And his punishment from God is having to listen to people wish for more time, less time, wishing for time to stop, wishing for time to go faster. And he listens to this for thousands and thousands of years until a stalactite and a stalagmite meet in the middle. Once they meet, he is finally released, and he has to find someone that is asking for less time and someone who is asking for more time. And he has to get them to understand that just because they're wishing for more time or less time doesn't always mean that their situation is the end of their world. And what the consequences of wishing for more or less can have. Really good beach read, really quick read. As you can see, it's not that big. But definitely one of my favorite books that I always come back to. Next up is Styxx by Sherrilyn Kenyon. Yes, that's a Walmart sticker because it was on sale and I really like it. And I'd actually read it on Kindle Unlimited before. Sorry for my dog in the background. Kindle before I picked up the hard copy, just because it is massive. It follows the story of Styxx, Oseran's brother in the Dark Hunter series. And I actually thought Oseran's story was good until I picked up Styxx and realized that Styxx definitely got the worst end of that stick. So it follows Styxx through him being a war general and him trying to save his brother 2 or 3 different times, and what the consequences for defying a god can be, which they are not pleasant, and it can give some sort of triggers if you have... There's rape in this book. I'm not trying to glorify it, but if it is a trigger for you, probably not the easiest book for you to get through. It does have a happy ending, and it does put Oseran in his place as far as you are not as mighty and as powerful as you think you are, because you actually took things from your brother when you were given up for birth by someone else. So, but I always go back to this book. I've read it 3 or 4 different times. You can kind of tell by the creases in the cover, in the spine, that I keep going back to it just because it is a really well-written, well-researched book that kind of... You want Styxx to be an asshole. You really do. Especially after reading all the other Dark Hunter books. You really want him to be the bad guy, and he's really not. And it shows the nuances of how we define good and bad. So, really good read. For me, anyway. Next up is the Strangers in Paradise series. It's a 6-book graphic novel series by Terry Moore. I mentioned this in my first video that I really, really like these books. So this is Francine, Kachu, David, Casey, and Freddie. These are all characters within the Strangers in Paradise universe. Kachu is in love with Francine, and Francine is still into men and doesn't really come to terms with the fact that she is actually in love with her best friend until the 3rd paperback graphic novel. Once she comes to terms with it, it is getting the rest of everyone to come to terms with it and realizing that being with Kachu may not fully have been her dream when she was little, but by book 6 you realize that that's where they're headed, and after everything that they've been through, you just want them to be okay and be together because they go through a lot. And it is quick read. They're quick reads, but they're really in-depth reads. So check them out. There's 6 books, and like I said, I really like them. So along with really, really long reads, we have the Shapeshifter Trilogy. Well, not trilogy, but anthology of Amelia Atwater-Rhodes Shapeshifter series. There's Hawksong with Danica Sheridan, who is an avian shapeshifter who is trying to stop the war that's going on between her people and Zane Corbina's people. Zane is from the snake shapeshifters, and in order to help stop what's going on, they have to pretend that they're in love and that they get married and then that they support each other. And then in Snake Charm, they fought some battles with outside people who want them dead, and they're finally coming to terms with the fact that they actually do really love each other. And Danica is pregnant, and then the Falcons show up, which by the Falcons showing up, there becomes a problem because they're trying to find a lost Falcon who was actually royalty, and they came to live within the avian community, and they became a trusted member of that society. And you don't really, like, you suspect who it is, but you don't really know who it is until the end of the book. And then there's Falcon Dance, Falcon Dance follows Narcissus, I think that's how you say his name, who is actually the son of the Falcon from Snake Charm and another Falcon. And their son goes to the land of the Falcons to do his training because children among the Falcons is a very low, like, they have low birth rates. So royalties and children are precious to them. But he finds some really deep, dark secrets. And to the point where he actually finds Zane's niece, who is crazy. And she comes back with him to kind of see the society that Danica and Zane have built up around their marriage and their community and how they wanted life to be after the war. There's still problems with the war, and the communities are still segregated, but at the same time, they're trying to integrate as best they possibly can. And with any culture, it takes time. And then in Wolfcry, you've got Eliza, who is Danica and Zane's daughter, who has both the serpent form and the avian form, and they're trying to get her to pick a mate. And I really like Wolfcry because it is the story of Eliza who can see the future after doing a certain dance that Hai has taught her, her aunt has taught her. And it's really interesting how Amelia sets it off, because Eliza gets kidnapped and she's actually giving herself over to her kidnappers by choice. But she doesn't remember that she's doing this by choice, so she's on the run and ends up with this wolf pack, and there's this female wolf that doesn't talk to anybody, is actually afraid of men because she got in, I really think she got raped at some point in the story, or sexually assaulted, or something happened. And she doesn't trust men at all. They end up coming upon this cobra sect, and the cobras dance, and the wolf that Eliza ends up hanging out with asks her to dance too, and actually gives her a token of a dancer that is a gift that she wants to see her dance. So they fall in love, and Eliza realizes that she has to give up her throne to her aunt and her uncle, who are both about the same age as she is, in order to keep the communities growing and together, and for them to have a future. Because if she picks an avian mate, there's going to be a problem with the serpentine community, and if she picks a serpentine mate, there's going to be an issue with the avian community, and it's an upheaval, so she just abdicates the throne. And then in Rivenhale, Hai comes back, and it's actually Hai's story of how she tries to keep everything together and keep her sanity while navigating this rather interesting community that she has now found herself in. And it's a really good end to the entire series. So, really, really long book. Not exactly sure when I'm going to get to this book, but 5 books in one, about 1,000 pages. It's going to be a while for this book. So, I'll give you guys a review, better review when I get done with it. And then the final book that I'd really like to get through this summer is One Day by David Nicholls. So this book follows Dexter and Emma one day a year, July 15th, for 20 years. And within the 20 years, Dexter's career goes up, Emma starts getting a career, because the first day they get together is the day that they graduate from university. It is based in England, and a really good beach read. It's a fast read, and there's just a lot of detail that goes into this. It will make you cry at the end of it. So if you're up for a tearjerker, that's a really good read, and probably a little bit more realistic than any of the other books that's on my list. Maybe outside of the Hotel of Corner and Bittersweet. Corner of Bitter and Sweet. Sorry about that. Go ahead and pick this up. It's been out for a while, so your local library should have it. Maybe if you can find it on Kindle. I don't think it's on Kindle Unlimited, but really good beach read. And with that, that is all the books that I'm trying to get through this summer. So we will see how far I actually get before classes pick back up. If you've got any books or book recommendations that you'd like me to check out based off the books that I've talked about today, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And all of these books are on Goodreads, so if you're looking for better reviews, more information on them, go check them out. I won't leave the links on all the books in the description box below, just because there are so many links that would be in there. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday and a great last day before heading back to work on Monday. With that, bye everybody.